A few kilometers further along, Pannerden Canal is called the Lower Rhine. Once the IJssel branches off north, the river continues with less than a third of its volume. Barges, therefore, use the southern arm of the Rhine. Arnhem is the largest city on the river. A bit further on lies Rosandepolder, a former quarry pond. Here, Bram, Ides and Karin Gehring have fulfilled their dream. After living in the city for many years, they've returned to their Rhine. It's the daily ritual that makes life so special here.
At first it was strange. I mean, we grew up here, and now we're suddenly back. It took a while to acclimatise. But when we plunged into the lake from our veranda on the first warm day of summer, it felt like we'd landed back home.
For 3 years, the family has owned a houseboat on the Rosandepolder. This is where the couple grew up.
You're always busy on a houseboat. Everything is made of wood. It's exposed to the sun, the wind and weather. A houseboat keeps you on your toes more than a normal house does.
We have a saying that goes, buy a boat and work yourself to death. A lot of work goes into it. It looks like a summer house, but it keeps you busy all the time.
Yes,
absolutely.
Life is idyllic on Rosandepolder. Only when the Rhine flexes its muscles do things become hectic. During flooding, some houseboat moorings come loose and the boats drift across the lake. But the opposite can also pose problems.
when the water level is really low, we have to watch out. Our house is made of concrete, and if it touches the ground, it would break apart. So when the water level is low, we have to go further out into the lake where it's deeper.
Karin's parents only live a pontoon away. The people on Rosandepolder are part of a close-knit community. A different way of life has been celebrated here since 1958. Floating homes are very popular. It's hardly surprising, as the Netherlands have more than enough water.
I think most people here are very much in touch with nature. It's the weather and the water.
Yes, dealing with the elements.
The wish to be out of doors as much as possible. I think we'll always be living here. We sometimes fantasize about having a little farm or a proper flat, but in the end we would just miss the water.
Karin and Bram met and fell in love by the Rhine. They want to pass on this way of life to their children, Kees and Loes. The journey continues downriver. The land enclosed by the large Rhine branches Waal and Lower Rhine has a special quality. The soil, once submerged by the Rhine, is particularly fertile. The Betuwe has become the orchard of the Netherlands. Particularly apples grow on the enormous plantations and are exported worldwide. Near Amerongen lies one of the most beautiful castles in the Netherlands. The Amerongen moated castle came to fame after Emperor William II fled from Germany and took refuge here. Frequent storm tides and floods have made the Dutch determined to gain control over their waterways. The dam at Amerongen is part of this plan. It regulates the water level of the Lower Rhine. When the water is low, the gates are closed to ensure shipping traffic can continue. Merwede Canal connects the Rhine to the city of Utrecht. Even the Dutch's favourite mode of transport, the bicycle, has to give way when one of the country's 1,000 or so movable bridges opens. How far the Lower Rhine strayed before it was tamed by dams can be seen in the city of Utrecht, 10 kilometres away from today's riverbank. The city, with its medieval cathedral, came to early wealth due to the Rhine. 500 years ago, the river flowed right through the city, making Utrecht an important centre of trade. When the Rhine finally settled in its current bed, the inhabitants channeled the river's former course, which flows through the city today as Oude Gracht.
Oude Gracht is the lifeline of the city of Utrecht. It provides a certain atmosphere that's created by water. The restaurants and terraces, the bridges and trees right by the canal. That's just great.
Alex den Hartog makes his own contribution to preserving the historic city centre. Here, cafes and bars are supplied in a traditional way, by beer boat.
Lorries are simply too large and too heavy to drive over the bridges. We found an alternative, and that's our boat.
Beer is his core business. Alex makes sure no one goes thirsty.
The tourists love it. Of course they do when they see beer. Beer's what it's all about.
The cellars on Oude Gracht haven't lost any of their original charm. That's what makes this place so special. Alex travels the 2-kilometre route 3 times a day. When at the end of the day he's completed his deliveries, his beer boat is plugged into a socket.
The electric boat is silent. I took some getting used to at first, but now I don't miss the noise anymore. It's great because you can actually chat with people on the riverbank without the engine drowning out their voices. It's wonderfully peaceful.
He meets plenty of hobby skippers along the way. Tourists are usually alarmed by a boat this size. Patience is often required.
It can also be quite amusing. If you're an inexperienced canoeist and have to make way, many crash into the sides. It's very funny. The special thing about the water is that it's always alive. Many people feel naturally attracted to it. That's what makes my work so interesting.
En dat maakt mijn werk zo interessant.